Good evening. We are now live on Talking Songs with me, Rowland Jones. How are you doing out there? I have to say they do say it's grim up north, and it certainly is today. I have to say it's constant rain. And I think I was talking the other day about the pathetic fallacy in film, where the protagonist's mood is reflected in the weather. And talking about Blade Runner, and well, it feels like a Blade Runner evening today. So we're going to try and change that a bit with some music. And with me in the studio, I shall have shortly Mr. Paolo Fuschi. We've just been sitting here chatting about Italy and food and nice weather and things. And so we're going to have to kick ourselves out of that and get back into the gritty Manchester sound for a bit. So I'm going to kick it off with a tune called How It Is. I've been thinking about where I've been, the places I've visited, and the things I've seen. Made decisions by people I've met. Some were good ones, and some I regrets. Don't know the future, can't change the past. That's how it is. That's how it is. I've been thinking about me and you. Where are we going? What are we gonna do? Nothing keeps us together, not one thing we've done. No reason unites us, we live two lives now one. Don't know the future, can't change the past. That's how it is. That's how it is. I've been thinking what might come to pass. Will I ever find someone a love that will last? I keep hoping, I keep looking around, but the other half of me is nowhere to be found. Don't know the future, can't change the past. That's how it is. That's how it is. I've been thinking about what might have been. What could have been a different story, cut to a different scene. A little less adventure, I might have been less fun. But I could be settled down instead of still rambling on. Don't know the future, I can't change the past. That's how it is. That's how it is. That's how it is now. And that's how it is. Oh, hang on, you've just disappeared out of the screen. The whole screen's just disappeared off. Oh, there we are, you're back. So, good evening, Paolo.
Hello, Rowland. Ciao.
Hi.
How are you?
Ciao. How are you doing, my friend? You okay?
I'm doing great. Just enjoyed listening to your song.
Thank you. Thank you.
It was beautiful.
Thank you. So, what about you? One of the things that intrigues me, and I know you and I have talked about this before, but, living in a foreign country. Now, you've done something that I have not done, and that is written a song in a foreign language. How do you find it?
Wow, that's first of all,
it's a big question, I know.
Yeah, it's a big question, but thank you so much for asking me that, because I think probably nobody ever asked me that sort of question in a way, like as in in a sort of interview or show scenario, stuff like that. So it's really good to talk about this thing. So yes, it's a double situation, as in it's very inspiring and it's a beautiful challenge. But you have to feel very inspired and very motivated, and you have to have a vision to do that. And also, most importantly, you have to believe and connect exactly with those lyrics you have decided to write. And that is strictly connected to the level of self-confidence you have at that particular stage. So I can give you like a very precise example of what I'm trying to say. So my first original project here in the UK was my blues influence quartet called Fuschi 4, and there was a project in which I wrote just in English. And I did that for quite some time. And I was just about, I don't know, 26 or something like that, 27. So here it is, my first band here in this country. I have to show the world, what I'm capable of. So, I'm very motivated. And I basically wrote a bunch of, in my opinion, like decent songs, all in English, very meaningful. They made completely sense, etc. Like they were also being checked by my bass player, if there were any grammar issues or anything like that. So double checked, everything was fine. So was very, very happy about it. And then I co-wrote another album with an Italian singer-songwriter a few years later, all in English again, because he writes in English. Yeah. Big shout out to my friend Fabrizio Cammarata. But he writes.
That's the guy you'd record. That's how we met, because there was that video of that song that you'd done.
Shine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I first came across
exactly. You. So Fabrizio, like for him, is second nature. Of probably first nature to write in English. Yeah. For me, it was like a sort of a matter of let's say artistically surviving. I'm saying like I live in a country where the first language is English. If I want to communicate and I want to express myself, I want to do that in that language. Yeah. That was basically my reason. Then eventually, long story short, anyway, we write this album, and it's a beautiful album. Again, the lyrics are meaningful, beautiful. I'm going to play one of the songs from the album actually later, etc. So then after that, like I fall into a massive identity crisis straight after we finished to record the album and releasing it and turning it, etc. I just felt like, okay, it was something like something really hit me at that time. I was like, okay, like what am I? Who am I as an artist, as a person? Almost, I went through a phase where I felt that I was almost faking and I was almost acting, in order to get into the language as much as possible, right? It was almost as if I was wearing somebody else's clothes. And I felt a little bit uncomfortable. And then for years, I'm talking about a good 2-3 years, I stopped writing lyrics whatsoever. I just stopped completely. And funnily enough, in fact, I joined the Buffalo Brothers, which is an instrumental band, instrumental music band, and that's not the case. Yeah. So then later, after lots of things, situations and things that happened to me, then eventually I just got back into writing lyrics, and I started writing in Italian. I wrote a bunch of Italian songs, and then eventually it's just now that I started writing in English as well. So at the moment I'm doing a bit of both. But I guess for me, the most important thing is. I have to say, your level of connection with yourself and the self-confidence to say, okay, I'm capable to do this thing and I feel comfortable with doing that. So therefore, I'm going to write in English or Spanish or French. I don't know. But that's
I think the thing that interests me about that is because obviously apart from the writing thing, I've done the same as you, but in reverse. And the funny thing was that when I got to Italy, I mean, although I'd sung and performed and done all sorts of things prior to that. What happened to me was I went for kind of an audition with a blues band, and I thought they wanted me to play guitar. But because I was the only one who spoke English, they expected me to be the singer as well. So I suddenly found myself fronting this band. And in a sense, because it was like putting on an outfit, like putting on a role. And so I presented all the songs. I presented the band and did all the introductions, did all that in Italian, a bit of dialect and all sorts of stuff in it. But I didn't go. I mean, obviously, because for me, what I was doing was singing in my mother tongue. That bit wasn't so difficult. Although it did mean that I could cheat if I forgot my own words, because a lot of people didn't understand a word I was singing anyway.
Sure.
But yeah, there is that sense of the sort of cloak. But then when I came back to Italy 7 years later, I suddenly found that coat fitted. So I could carry on being that person, which I'd sort of evolved into over a period of 7 or 8 years.
I completely understand what you're saying. It is a matter of embracing a role, and I guess it's weird because for me it's like what is it like? How do you feel true to yourself? True to yourself. That's basically the whole point. And there, as I said, I had a phase where, like, if I tried to write in English, I would just like throw the pen and the paper away and say, "There's no point. I'm not going to do that because I'm faking it. I'm trying to sell something to somebody, that is not me. So I'm going to try in Italian." But this again, on the other end though, now it's like 18 years that I live here. So, I'm not saying, that my English is perfect, but, like I feel that certainly I installed in myself a big chunk of British culture and Mancunian culture. And, because I've been growing, I'm all here, I'm 41 now. I came here when I was 22. So, so that has an impact as well, like how integrated you are, how much you feel part of something. That for me is very important as well. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. How about a song then?
Sure.
And so give us a bit of a history, because I'm quite interested. I'm always interested in where songs come from, and whether we have a specific idea, or whether we think, well, it just happens. Yeah.
So I'm gonna play a song from the album I recorded with Fabrizio.
Okay.
The album is called Skins and Gold, and it's on. You can listen to it on Spotify. But the song is called Shona, and I recently started singing this song again after a while, because the album, like I wrote the song, but Fabrizio was the singer in the album.
Yeah.
But the lyrics and the melody, just I wrote it. But Shona is a song that just I wrote for that album. When Fabrizio said, "Oh, should we do an album?" I said, "Yeah, okay, I'm going to write a bunch of songs. I'm going to write a bunch of songs." And Shona is a song basically that talks about, funnily enough, which I think is connected to what we're discussing. It talks about anxiety and feeling this sort of constant fight inside you, and how and you try to tame that, but you're not able to do that. A bit of anger management, if you like. So, and I just when I wrote the song, I said, like, I want to write the song, from a very vulnerable, fragile, special point of view. And I figured out, it would have been very significant trying to write that from a young girl perspective. And so this is Shona, that this is the song. Cool. So yeah, hope you enjoy it. Let's try to play. Thank you. Shona's a real troublemaker. Always tries to get in a fight. She doesn't know why she is so angry. Something with her isn't quite right. Her mama's getting real worried. I never tried to stop her. Her father was a rough man. She wished she had never met. How many times do I have to try to be different? That was the question. Trouble in her mind. times do I have to try to be different? That was the question traveling in mind. How many ways can I be? I don't really understand. I don't really understand. Oh no, I don't really understand. So hard to understand. Yeah.
Yeah, great, nice one.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
That's lovely. That's lovely. Yeah, it's interesting hearing you sing as well, because the thing about it is that one of the things I was going to ask you about is, I mean, obviously, I only my only attempt ever at singing anything in Italian was doing what's it called? Se domani. The Mina song.
Wow, what a great song!
Doing the harmony vocals on that. One of the only songs I've ever come across that has the lyric underlined in it. That's right.
Yeah.
It's sottolineato.
Yeah.
Which in
Absolutely.
English would just not work. Because I think that's one of the interesting things, the difference between the two languages.
Yes.
And is the sense that the sort of the usual vocabulary of popular music in English is always shorter than it is in Italian. Boy, ragazzo, girl, ragazza, love, amore. So there's always too many syllables.
Yes.
If I try and write it, I've got two. What I want is one line comes out as a paragraph. But also the other thing is that I'm interested in is that particularly in sort of bluesy, soul-y singing, we all do it where we change the phrasing of a line. Yeah. And sometimes you change it during the line and add an extra bit. I'm going to tell you that I love you. So you add an extra word in. Or you might change it in the second verse in relation to the... And just listening to you do that totally fluently.
Oh.
There's no... Because trust me, I've heard lots of Italians singing in English when we lived out there, and it doesn't always work. And sometimes anyway, but no, you seem totally at home with that.
Thank you.
It's I mean, what were you when you were a kid, right? When you were a teenager in Italy?
Yeah.
What music were you listening to?
So
Americans, I would suggest, a lot of American music.
When I was a kid, my dad had a lovely record collection. I have 3 main albums in my mind. We used to listen to when we were on a Sunday. When everybody was at home. So my mom was, obviously cooking food. My dad was fixing some. Some stuff in home and that, and we were just taking it easy. But three albums, I can recall. So first one is The Dark Side of the Moon,
right?
Obviously by Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
Second one is Lucio Dalla, who's an amazing, singer-songwriter from Italy. And the third album was Mama Africa by Peter Tosh.
Oh, right.
And Mama Africa by Peter Tosh was my mom's favorite album to put on while she was cleaning the house. So
That's not very Sicilian, is it?
No. So and that's for me especially, and I think that kind of stuck with me, because then later on, when I started developing my own taste in music as a teenager, and those influences certainly just go back, because I started listening to Pink Floyd and 60s and 70s, music. And then also start listening to reggae music as much, as the rest. And then eventually I, by the age of 18, I met this guy who was older than me, and he used to, because we moved house and we moved to like another area of Palermo. And so this guy was basically my next door neighbor, and he was about like 5-6 years older than me. And he was, Rowland, he was like the best hard rock guitarist ever. So like he was playing all the chops. I was listening to like, you know, I was listening to Led Zeppelin and by the time and Jimi Hendrix and he got all the chops. So like became my hero. And then eventually introduced me to Free. So
Kossoff is still one of my
right,
heroes.
like and
heroes.
he played for me this WHS tape, VWH tape. Sorry, and like I just saw Paul Kossoff doing his vibrato like on the Les Paul. And I just saw immediately, okay, that's it. This is my mission now. I want to play.
I'm glad. I'm so glad you said that, because I was very fortunate. I mean, I must, in the sort of between 1969 and when Kossoff died, I must have seen Free 4 or 5 times.
Oh my goodness!
And Kossoff is something about his style. I mean, he was trained as a classical guitar player, and that's part of the reason he had very, 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 very strong left hand. But I think one of the things for me, one of the first tracks I heard, which really blew me away, was that I don't know if they ever got to Italy. We used to have sampler albums where like a label like Island would put out a sampler album. It'd be very, very cheap, but it would have 2 tracks from each of maybe like a dozen albums, right?
Wow, okay.
And the one that I remember had a track called I'm a Mover on it.
Oh, dude, what a song.
Which is from Tons of Sobs, you know. And I can remember, I was talking to somebody about it only the other day, about us having endless arguments, because we'd never seen the band, as to whether he was using a Strat or a Les Paul. I mean, and it all seemed so important, which of course it was. And but Kossoff is one of those people who doesn't get mentioned that often, and I think it's a real shame. I thought he's one of the greats. Sad.
He just like, he was so good at doing his own thing. You know what I mean? Like, just like he it's almost like... and that was very revealing for me, and he stuck with me. Like his style was so unique. You know, he didn't care about playing virtuoso stuff. He didn't care about the flashy thing. It was all about the expression and how much tone you could get, the feel of the guitar. Yeah. Incredible player. I
think one of the things that I like. I've talked to another guitar player about this the other day, about the idea that the people like Kossoff, and in a different vein, but it's some way similar, Brian May. Yeah, they know how to play that solo that will just blow you away completely. Yeah, I mean, I've seen shots of Brian May at jam sessions, and he doesn't sit comfortably in them. Yeah. And Kossoff was always a guy who pulled these. I mean, there's one solo he plays on "Don't Say You Love Me." Mm-hmm. You know that, the really slow ballad. And he just
of course,
and it's beautiful. No, and I think he's highly underrated. Yeah. Obviously, aficionados like you and me, we appreciate his playing.
No, but seriously, when this guy just showed me the video, it was like live in, you know, the Isle of Wight performance, something like that. I was like,
I saw them. I saw them there. They were just
that's amazing.
Gobsmacking.
So you know,
yeah. That's interesting, because one of the other things I was going to say is when we lived in Italy, I found that the influence of British rock music from the 60s,
huge,
unbelievable. And I mean, you were saying about this virtuoso friend of yours. I can believe it. I mean, the guys that I met, and they knew more about, you know, dear friend from Verona, Lawrence. See him quite often, go over there and know his parents. His father's my age, and first time I met him, he said, "Have you ever seen a band called Camel?" And I mean, Camel weren't that big in the UK, but out there, very, very popular apparently. And it's just, and he had these. He was showing me his prized collection of 60s and 70s rock music, and it was amazing. But the people who study the music, they do it to the nth degree.
You know, that's a I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's another thing that certainly influenced me as well. In Italy, I don't know what it is. I think I know what it is, but I just want to say that I don't know. There's this way. So if you are in a rock band, so if you say, okay, we're gonna be a band that's gonna cover Led Zeppelin and I don't know, Allman Brothers, Deep Purple, and we're gonna do that. People like a good band won't cut corners whatsoever. They're gonna start. Every member of the band is gonna be so meticulous at studying those songs, because I think, and this is personally my personal point of view, there's a certain urge to show yourself that you can replicate this sort of authenticity,
absolutely.
And keep and portray that sort of legacy. You have to prove that to yourself,
Well, I'll give you a perfect example of that. I've got a friend out in Umbria, and he's bass player and plays with a band called The Lamb, which is the official Genesis tribute band, right? And I've not seen them live, but I've seen them on YouTube and stuff, and they are meticulous. Yeah. But the bizarre thing about it is that, Peter Gabriel's lyrics are incomprehensible in English to an English speaker. A lot of them are just, I love them, but they are quite nonsensical. And this guy does the whole thing. He's learned it all by rote. I'm sure he has no idea what he's singing, but he's got the full outfit on and everything, the big flower headgear and a lot. And they're amazing. Yeah. And they are dedicated to it. And it's not for me, but I do admire their commitment.
Exactly. It's a sort of. It's even more like it's a sort of mission. It's a mission.
It is.
It's a mission for people. Yeah, but basically, those are the main influences, and then so just I got into that, and then from there, obviously, I went backwards and discovered the blues. So Hendrix opened everything, opened the door, and then obviously I fell in love with BB and Albert and Freddie, Albert Collins, all the electric blues stuff, and then eventually a little bit backwards again with the Delta blues and stuff like that. So, and I kind of embraced this I had this sort of culture in me. I said, even more so when I moved up here. So I remember, for instance, when I put together my blues band, because, I was foreign, and I had to do it right. I picked up some, not saying obscure, but not the most obvious, songs belonging to the British blues tradition. I just, I remember I covered a John Mayall song called "I'm Gonna Fight for You, JB," which was a song he wrote for JB Leonard. Exactly. Yeah. And then, I had that sort of reaction, what's this song? You're like, and I had to, crazy
He wrote, is that, I know there's one called The Death of J.B. Lenmore. Is that the same song?
I think so.
Because, car has killed a man in Chicago 2,000 miles away.
Yeah. So something like that. It was from an album by John Mayall that wasn't even that famous. It was The Turning Point, which was a live album without drums. It was a little bit...
John Mark on guitar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there was a flute player and a bass player, and it was very, quirky.
I saw them in Manchester. Well, John Mayall is from Manchester originally.
From Macclesfield. Yeah.
Well, he. But I saw most of his bands at the Free Trade Hall, and I saw that band, and it was John. I think he was called John Mark, the guitar player, and it was a complete change of everything. Because that came straight after Bare Wires, did it? Before Bear,
probably,
around that sort of period. Yeah, but go on and play some blues then. I want to hear some of your. Well, I don't know many of your songs.
But this is it, man. I've been kind of shy for the last few years, so that that's why I refuged into collaborations. I play forever with Matt, and obviously my beloved Buffalo Brothers, and things like that. But it's only
and with
now.
our mutual friend Bo.
There you go. Yeah. which by the way, I'm hoping to go and see on like sometimes this week, probably Wednesday. I haven't seen him forever. So, but anyway, I'm gonna
I spoke
play.
to him last week and he's fine.
All right. Yeah. I've been texting him as well. He's just like, you okay? Yeah. So yeah, everything is fine. I'm gonna play these original blues I wrote.
Yeah.
Which I only wrote like about a month ago, or no, a couple of months ago. I think I finished to write it a little bit before the COVID lockdown started. Yeah. So this one is called Little Devil's Blues, and it's a song about, I came up with this idea that, all of us have little devils that we have to deal with, and I always, like, from a certain point of my life onwards, I thought, I have to become friend with these devils I've got inside, and eventually learn to live with them and trying to understand them. Because if I try to understand them, they're going to try to understand me, and we can't live in the same place without getting into each other.
Excellent.
So this is like a song inspired by this sort of concept. So it's called Little Devil's Blues.
Cool.
Let me boost the reverb again. There you go.
Nice.
Little devils in my head, they always try to make me cry. Devils in my head, they always try to make me cry. I wake up early in the morning, they start messing on my mind. Little devils make me suffer everything I used to do. Little devils made me suffer for everything I used to do. Little devils know everything. They laugh at me if I get blue. Around, no matter how I get, no matter how fast I run, how high I get. Little devil's gonna catch me, make me do what I regret.
Yeah. Nice.
Thank you.
That's cool.
Thank you.
It's quite interesting you should have said that about devils, actually, because I learnt something the other day which I'd never heard before about the term blues refers to the Blue Devils. Have you come across that?
No.
The Blue Devils is the withdrawal symptoms from alcohol.
Okay.
Right, so the Blue Devils was what you would suffer when you've got you're trying to stop the drinking.
Right.
So yeah, it was quite appropriate. So what you've picked there is, I mean, obviously the devil crops up a lot in the blues anyway, but Yes, quite
Wow,
appropriate.
that's
That's cool, isn't it?
I'm gonna use it.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
What else was I going to ask you? Yeah, the other thing, I've got Tom Atta coming in a few weeks. I want to talk to him about this as well. Writing the blues in the 21st century.
Wow.
And it's yeah, that's another big question. This series will run and run. And the thought about it is that it's I've got no problem with people in Manchester or anywhere else in Europe singing blues that was originated from the Mississippi Delta, X hundred years later, whatever. No problem with that. And I have no problem with most of it, really. I'm just interested in is how people feel about writing songs, because the thing is that the blues and a lot of rock music, the grammar and the vocabulary of it is American and Southern American. I mean, it's like if I think I only mention a car in one of my songs, and it's a Cadillac. I don't put a Ford in there, and it's those sort of things that need to. And I don't know about you, but I fall into the habit of I will not say isn't, I'll say ain't, because that flows with it. But what your feelings about writing the blues in the? I mean, that sounds what you've just played. I mean, with a bit of scratchiness on the top, you can make that sound like a record from the 30s. It's great.
Wow.
It's lovely.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
You've got a nice style. So
as you just finished to say,
yeah,
it is a style, isn't it? So for me, that's the artistry of singer-songwriting, writing songs. So for me, with the blues, it's a really complex question, but
yes,
it's a beautiful question. But the way I look at it is this: you have to study the blues, as in you need to, like every other genre or style of music, in order to get into it and playing it and singing it properly, you have to understand it, you have to discover it, you have to dive into it and understand exactly what sort of cultural context that kind of music was generated by, and think so the historical context, the situation, the main characters. And there's that, and also you have to, in my opinion, you also have to understand the connotations, of the music. So there are certain things you can. So the topics, probably, they could be the same topics, as any other style of music, say bossa nova or stuff like that. But there are certain ways and connotations in the way a certain type of music presents itself that basically will make that type of music. So
they're like a signature. You mean
exactly? So some main features. So the artistry for me is being able to identify those features and try to use them to express yourself without faking it. Yet, you are, again, going back to what we were saying at the beginning of this conversation, you are embracing a role, but you have to commit. So when I, for instance, and when I, like as if I say, just, praise myself, but I guess, it's like humbly speaking, and, that's when I receive a feedback from you, like saying, that the songs, Little Devil sounds good, for me means the world, is because when I wrote those lyrics, I just wanted to write, about certain feelings that I had and certain things and certain experiences I had. So I wanted them to be, I was talking about some real stuff, but I just wanted to do it with a certain, within a certain musical scenario.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for me, that's basically, for me, that was the challenge. And eventually, luckily, that kind of, in my opinion, I feel it kind of works.
Yeah.
But, it's
the
very,
other thing, though, about the context of it is that I think, a lot of the time people think that blues is sad and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But the context in which a lot of it was played was dancing. You know, so that's
Exactly.
you know, that's all about, you know, playing, and the whole idea of it with those sort of those Saturday night get-togethers, and it was dance music as well. But I read an article a while ago about you're saying about again playing roles, and somebody's interviewing Robert Cray, and said, you know, you're a successful, you know, multi-million selling artist. You've got fans all over the world. You play big gigs. You're happily married. Blah blah blah. You've got a new family. It was all this sort of. So how can you play the blues? And he said, well, you know, I've always done it, which is the first part. But also, he says that sometimes when he's writing it, he will actually create a scenario for an alter ego. So there's this other guy, and it's sort of an imagined thing, like a plot, if you like, you know, my baby done left me type thing, whatever, you know, which he imagines, and he's writing within the context of that, which I think is fair enough. I don't know.
It's songwriting, isn't it? Like, you know, just it is an artistry. It is you know, it's a form of art, full stop. You know, just you know, fictional doesn't mean fake. You know, just absolutely. You know, there's another thing actually that is related to what you're saying, and it's about Robin Ford. You know, like the genius. You know, everybody praise him. You know, for his guitarism. You know, like his skills. He's like this a super guitar player. But I watched an interview with him, and that's not the first time he says that. And I don't like that. I love that, because he's the interviewer was asking him, is this something that you feel you know, that people haven't quite grasped yet about yourself? They you know, they haven't shown enough appreciation yet about your music, you know. And he said, I wish people paid more attention to my songwriting skills rather than focusing on, you know, how to use the diminished scale, you know, and how to do that. I wish, you know, they paid more attention to the actual songs I write and what I'm trying and what I try to say. And I find that beautiful, because you know, like, I think, you know, just this is a problem we're having these days. This is I'll give you actually a little you know, hint for a next topic you could discuss with one of your other guests in the future, which is like these sort of pigeonhole audiences that now we have. We haven't got guitar music fans or like blues fans. We have, you know, social media, certain kind of niche guitar audiences that will relate to music in one way. You know what I mean? So now, you know, like, you're not a singer-songwriter, you are a guitarist for guitarists. And that, for me, is something that we should all stop for a moment.
Absolutely.
You know,
I think
and reflect about.
I agree with you entirely. The difficulty is that one of the if you ever talk to somebody, you've just met somebody and they say, "Oh, you're a musician," and they say, "What sort of music do you play?"
Yeah.
And then you're stuck with it. I mean, I had a similar conversation with Steve Furbrash from the Achievers, who I did this with last week, and he was saying, because their music is not blues at all. I mean, there's a couple of 12 bars in there, but there's nothing that is essentially blues. But they put these albums together, and the Blues Federation, the blues community, picked up on it, and they loved it. And they're a great band, worth checking out. And we were talking about this, about how, and he said, you know, well, where do you fit? Because the problem is, if you have to go to a specific category, like some people don't like what I do because it's not bluesy enough and it's too country-ish or too jazzy. But if I play it in a country sort of club, they say, well, it's a bit too bluesy for me. And so, you know, you end up, and the term I started using, years and years ago when we were out in Italy, I was involved in a festival called Contaminazioni Urbane, and there was theatre, there was dance, there was sculpture, music, all sorts of different stuff. And somebody said to me, "What?" And I thought, I'm gonna use this as a title. I'm gonna say, "Well, I play contaminated blues."
Love it.
Because there's bits of jazz in there, there's bits of funk in there, there's bits of country in there, there's bits of all the things I've been listening to for the last 50 years, you know.
Totally.
But if you say that to somebody out of the blue, they go, "What? What do you mean
Yeah.
contaminate? Is it dirty?" You know, people don't understand.
Yes,
So
it is.
it is, yeah. But, you know, we need the labels, but at the same point, they become limiting.
100%. 100%.
It's so tricky. And yeah. And I mean, even the term, as you said before, singer-songwriter. I mean, to my generation, singer-songwriter immediately conjures up images of Cat Stevens. You know, and it heads straight in that direction.
Yeah.
Whereas you could say singer-songwriter, okay, J.J. Cale.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I know. So this is something that it's good to reflect about, you know. Yeah.
That's why I wanted to do this series.
Yeah, no, this is brilliant, man. You know, by the way, I'm loving this conversation. You know,
Good,
I'm loving
good.
it. You know,
Well,
thank you.
we've done a lot. Do you want to do another song for us?
Yes, I'm gonna do another one. Why not?
Yeah. I'm here every week, so I can always play one, but I don't care if you're here every week.
Okay. I'm gonna do a song in Italian.
Oh.
Which is, you know, again, is probably a good example of what you're talking about, you know, when you say contaminated blues or contaminated music. So this is a song I wrote about a couple of years ago, and it's a reggae tune, but with Italian lyrics, written by an Italian that lives in Manchester. You know, so it's massively contaminated. So too many contaminations. So here we go. This one is called Se ti cerco, which means if I look for you. Okay. So for the people that are watching and don't understand Italian, try to get the vibe. It's a love song. It's all about love. There you go. Se ti cerco, ci sarà un perché. Dopo tutto questo tempo lontani, dopo tutto il silenzio, rimani e rimarrai dentro di me. Se ti penso, ci sarà un perché. Se non riesco a smettere di chiedermi dove sei, cosa fai, come stai, e se anche tu mi pensi mai. Ho mille cose da dirti, 200.000 baci da darti, l'abbraccio grande come il mare, non voglio darlo ad altri, se non a te. Se non a te. Se cammino giù in città, spero di incontrarti, spero di parlarti ancora. Tra i muri di mattoni rossi, il cielo grigio, conto i passi per arrivare da te. Ho mille cose da dirti, 200.000 baci da darti, l'abbraccio grande come il mare, voglio darlo ad altri, se non a te. Oh no, se non a te. Oh no, oh, se non a te. Se non a te.
Bravo, bravo.
Grazie mille.
Complimenti.
Grazie.
Complimenti.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Love it. That's
Cheers,
really
thank
nice. Actually, it made me smile as well because the line in it, there is a why. Yeah, c'è un perché. Because I've got a song which is called "Where's the Why," which is
Oh man, just play that. You know.
it's just we should twin them, an A and a
Yeah.
B side. I think.
Oh, by the way, when I recorded this song, Bo plays the bass on this song.
Oh, excellent.
Which is amazing. You know, you know, I should put a YouTube video of just Bo's bass line on this song because he plays some really amazing stuff. You know, when
he gets into that groove, he's he's in his element, isn't he?
When we mixed it, oh my God, you know, with the producer Frank Sinelli, who's an amazing singer-songwriter as well. We were laughing so much because he was so clever. It was so cool. Anyway,
is it on Spotify or anywhere?
It is. It's I released the single in March 2019,
right?
And that was supposed to be the beginning of a bunch of singles written in Italian, songs written in Italian that would have released, but then obviously, as you know, life gets in the way.
Yeah.
And you have to do 1,000,000 things at the same time. But it's going to happen. I've got a bunch of Italian songs that I wish I
Great song,
released.
Absolutely
Thank you
excellent.
so much, Rob.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Because to be honest, this is the longest we've ever had. Certainly the longest we've ever played music together. I think we played a couple of jams down in Morley Cheeks, and somebody was asking me about you the other day, and I said, well, it's ironic that you were the person who actually reintroduced me to the Manchester music scene.
But like, it's ironic.
You took me to Morley Cheeks.
It's even more ironic the way that happened because Pablo Leoni mentioned you to me.
Yeah.
I think he said, oh no, because you contacted me. And he said, oh, yeah, and funnily enough, out of the blue, I don't know how it happened. You know, Pablo just contacted me, you know, just asking me how was it during those days. And I said, oh, you know, this guy Rowland just got in touch with me. He told me, you know him as well. And I know Pablo, and that's basically the full circle because I played a gig as guitarist with Kyla in Switzerland. He was playing drums in the band.
Right.
And that was the first time we met. And then eventually obviously we meet and, just...
But didn't you do the Bergamo thing with him as well? With Kyla? I believe he, up to a certain point, he was the drummer for Kyla in Europe. Yeah. Which I think is kind of still is, but now Kyla just takes her on like a full, British band on tour with her. Because I thought you did, I can't think what it's called, the British Blues Festival in
Bergamo.
Just outside Bergamo.
Yeah, I never done that one.
Oh, you didn't do that?
No.
Because he's the director of that festival.
No, of course. And then we met later in Switzerland. In Basel, I was playing at Basel Blues Festival with Matt Dack 2-3 years ago, and we bumped into each other. We were in the same hotel. Anyway, but this is what I'm saying, man. Like, just like the connections are beautiful, beautiful. And then obviously both me and you, we have some mutual friends down in Italy as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
And obviously now in Manchester, and it makes all sense. It's special. It's a special thing.
It's all well knit. Well, this has been great. Listen, I was going to do another song, but I think I'd like you to do another one.
No, I would be delighted to listen to your music as well, please. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
No, thank you.
All right. This is a song Which one shall I do? Yeah, I'll do that. You know, sometimes you can remember, I don't know about you, but sometimes I write something and there's a phrase in it and I've heard it somewhere, but I don't know where. Well, this is one of those rare occasions where I know exactly where it came from. And it was in an F. Scott Fitzgerald, but I can't think which Fitzgerald one it was. But he said, the loneliest time is just after 3 in the morning. Or 3:15 in the morning. I can't remember which. And I thought, oh, after 3. I like that. So this is called After 3 in the morning.
Right.
It's after 3 in the morning. Too early to get out of my bed. Can't sleep, just looking at the stars and wondering about the life I have led. And women, I've had my share. In fact, I've shed quite a few. With husbands and lovers from the past, 'cause no one comes boxed and brand new. And work, I've done a lot of things. Some were fun, most were definitely not. It's a trade-off of fun and money, and music's been the best of the lot. And money, I've made some in my time, but I seem to have spent it at least twice. To have something left at the end of the day would have been a better roll of the dice. And in my dreams I'm still out on the road, living that crazy, crazy life. Or maybe I'm a family man with home kids and a loving wife. My life might have been a great success as an artist, as a writer, or just a friend. But I'm still left here thinking and wondering where it will all end. You see, I've never been lucky in my life. I have never been lucky in love. Tried and tried everything I could, even prayed to the heavens up above. I haven't traveled around the world, but I made it from A to maybe G. The more I learn, the less that I know. I am sure you know exactly what I mean. You can last 7 days with nothing to eat. Without water, you're up against the wall. You'll survive without air for a minute or two. Without hope, you cannot live at all. Now it's way after 3 in the morning, still too early to get out of my bed. I can't sleep, just looking at the stars and wondering about the life I have led. I'm still wondering about the life I have led. I'm still wondering about the life that I have led.
Nice.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Listen, it's been a gas. It's been loads of fun.
It was beautiful,
and
yeah.
I'm going to carry on doing this for as long as I can, to be honest, because it's been a lot of fun so far. It's only like the third or fourth we've done. And what I'm hoping to do in the future is actually try and make it slightly larger and get maybe 2 or 3 people involved, so we can do it like in the round.
Yeah.
And, you know, maybe make it a longer show. I don't know. But So I'd love to have you back again if you want to come.
Nice. Well, you know where I am, and
I
it's
know
a
you
pleasure. And
Yeah.
thank you ever so much. I really, really enjoyed it. It was nice. It was
Absolute
nice.
pleasure,
It was nice also catching up and having a proper chat.
Yeah.
About
Yeah,
things.
people don't know about the half-hour conversation we had beforehand.
Exactly.
It's
Smashing.
and so yeah. Well, thanks, Paolo. I shall switch you off now, and I'll come back to you and say goodbye.
Thank you
later
ever so much,
Okay.
Ron. Until next
Cheers,
time.
man.
Take care. Bye bye. Bye bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Well, that's all from us for this week. That was Paolo. Some lovely songs there, some really interesting stuff. A good man, good singer, good writer, good guitar player. What more could you want? So thanks for joining me. So it's going to be next Tuesday from now on. So I shall see you next week when I will have with me Mr. Joel Jorgensen from Nashville, Tennessee. So see you next week. Till then, stay safe. Bye, guys.